Greetings. I'm Thomas Caldwell of the Aurelian Column, and this is Movie Night. In recent years, there's been a resurgence in interest of those guys up north with the steel helmets and the horns sticking out of them, although they usually didn't wear those sorts of things, in their long boats and their swords and their shields and their rather interesting hobby of raiding coastal villages, causing general mayhem. And after they have pillaged and utterly destroyed these villages, these cities, castles in some cases, they end up looting the place and absconding back to Scandinavia, usually with a few women in tow or something along those lines. I'm speaking, of course, of Vikings. Yes, everybody loves Vikings, or at least if you aren't in their path. Back in 1958, the ancestor of all of the Viking movies that have come since came out. And it was a real treat, and it still is. I'm speaking, of course, of the movie appropriately entitled The Vikings, starring Kirk Douglas, Tony Curtis, Janet Leigh, and Ernest Borgnine. This is based on a book called The Viking, singular, by a novelist named Edison Marshall, who was quite prolific in the mid-20th century. Sadly, I couldn't get a copy of the book that the movie's based on. It's out of print. Nobody has it anywhere used, at least for anything less than a small fortune, and it's not yet in the public domain. But the movie itself is usually much different from the novel, so let's just enjoy the movie for what it is. It's a real good, fun flick from the days before computers of the kinds we now think of, let alone CGI, ruled the roost. If you wanted real good scenes of a Viking ship going up a fjord in Norway, you had to go to a fjord in Norway and bring along a Viking ship. The photography of this movie is fantastic. The story is excellent. The acting is, of course, superb. And compared to what's come since, it's actually quite tame, although it does deal with the adult content of, shall we say, sexual assault and what can happen afterwards. Kirk Douglas had a hand in producing this movie, although it was produced by a man named Jerry Bressler. Tony Curtis was in it, and he was very much the young heartthrob at the time. Janet Leigh, who later became very, very famous for being the woman who was slashed to death in the shower in the movie Psycho a few years later. And Ernest Borgnine has been everyone's favorite actor, well, in the post-World War II period, pretty much. He played a very convincing Ragnar Lodbrok. He's a historic character for real, although this movie is really not historically accurate. It's just designed to be fun. And if you want to research Ragnar, he's something interesting. He was basically the stereotypical Viking that you think about when you think about people that show up on your shore with torches, swords, shields, and looking to rumble. The photography is magnificent, the music is fantastic, and, well, they don't make them like that anymore. You can find it on various media platforms. Some will charge you money to see it, usually only a few dollars. Some will show it to you for free if you watch the ads, and some others have it and it's just out there. I know a lot of people that enjoy this movie, and they said it really got them into their culture and their history. It also was the first movie of its kind that showed Viking culture, although some movies have come out since that are said to be a little more accurate. Again, the movie is The Vikings, 1958, United Artists, starring Kirk Douglas, Tony Curtis, Janet Leigh, and Ernest Borgnine, produced by Jerry Bressler, directed by Richard Fletcher, based on the novel The Viking by Edison Marshall. That's it for today. If you appreciate my work, please like, subscribe, and share. Share with your friends, and share with people who you want to be friends with. I can be reached at feedback@aureliancolumn.com. That's feedback@aureliancolumn.com. I'm up on X. My handle there is MICCAMPEN. That's MICCAMPEN. This podcast originates at Substack. My address there is aureliancolumn.substack.com. Until we meet again, be good, be safe, be vigilant, and remember, don't forget the popcorn. Good day.